coerced into this interview. You came along to me and said...
You weren't coerced into this interview.
Yes, I was.
Or don't tell me, the bullying
Piers.
MSM said, Andrew, you've got to do an interview.
No,
and I'm going to fly all the way to Romania to do it.
You didn't do that. You used the lover boy method.
It's ridiculous, and you know it's ridiculous.
Do you have any idea how difficult it was to remain unvaccinated, Piers? Let me tell you from somebody who was unvaccinated and traveled the world. Do you have any idea how difficult that was
Well, yes,
actually
because
to do?
countries have border controls.
Oh, because they tried to force everybody. So to sit and say they weren't trying to force, you know what they did? They said, come get the COVID vaccine, it's good for you, it's gonna help. They tried to coerce you by being nice. They tried to lover boy everybody. They tried to use the lover boy method to force people to get the COVID vaccine. It just came to, we need to put all these people in jail.
Andrew,
they were being nice to people,
Andrew,
trying to help them. Unbelievable.
Nobody forced you to have it. Did you have the vaccine?
Absolutely and utterly not, sir. My principles are not for sale. I would have stayed in my house to the end of human time and sat there as a pureblood, the last one, the last pureblood on the planet before I inject myself with poison.
You're not making an MGM trailer.
Yes, I am, because it's a matter of principle. I am not a farm animal. My blood is mine. It does not belong to the government. And I was emotional. I missed people. I missed them, and I knew they missed me. So I felt a strong sense of missing.
But you cried.
There were tears that ran down my face, but I did not cry.
I mean, that's crying.
I would disagree.
Because you're worried about admitting that. You think it sounds
Absolutely not. That's a perfectly fine scenario to cry in, but I think the act of crying is an act of desperation. To sit and to cry is an act in and of itself. To do push-ups thinking of your children with tears running down your face, but you're concerned with finishing as many push-ups as possible within that day, I do not consider that crying. I consider that tears running down my face.
My father died when I was 27, and that post was written a long time ago. I've never heard it before. I've never seen it before.
But what kind of father was it in terms of the values he instilled in you and Andrew?
Oh, he was a wonderful man, and he was a very protective man over his family and the people he cared about. I mean, they got divorced many, many years ago, but even with his dying breath, he would have jumped in to fight 10 men to defend my mother and her honor. That's the kind of guy he was, super protective and super, you know, involved in everyone he loves life, even if he was far away. You know, the phone calls were constant, the emails were constant, and he held us very accountable as young men.
What I do is I come along, and let me give you the broad overview of my message. You're a man, so your life sucks. It's always gonna suck, and it's gonna be pain. You're gonna do nothing but suffer. You're gonna suffer as a nobody, or you're gonna suffer the pain it takes to become
Actually,
great.
most men don't have that.
But you're gonna suffer as a nobody, because trust me, nobody suffer. Or you're gonna suffer the pain it takes to become great. Life is not supposed to be a happy picnic. You're supposed to get up, work hard, dedicate yourself, get strong, get rich, go through whatever it takes to become somebody of significance. That's my overall message, I believe it's a positive.
You haven't got to get rich to be happy.
No,
In fact, most of the super rich people I know in life are incredibly unhappy.
Really?
So you're selling a kind of false dream.
Well,
A lot of rich people are miserable.
Have you ever seen a rich person give
And a
their
lot of
money
people
away?
who have very little money can be very happy.
Have you ever seen a rich person give their money away?
Yes, of course.
Okay, do you give all your money away? Will that make you happier, Piers?
I don't.
Do you want the Romanian state to take it all? I didn't smile that day. And let me tell you that the reason I tell about men to become financially successful is for two reasons. One, because you have a job as a man to protect and provide. You can do neither of those things if you are broke. That's the first reason. And the second reason I actually preach to young men to become as financially successful as possible is a greater, broader reason. And I believe we've entered a very interesting stage in humanity where the matrix is finally cracked. 3 or 4 years ago, there were certain narratives you could not talk against. But with Elon Musk owning X, and now we have Rumble, we have a lot more information on the internet, people are starting to tell the truth about many different subjects. There's a whole bunch of them we can name. And I like the idea of people who are free thinking with a free mind, who are not matrix controlled, making as much money as possible because it takes money to win wars, and I want these people to be financially successful. That's why I tell all of my fans who believe in me to become as rich as possible because they understand that everything the government does is lied to them. And we need finance. I was coerced into this interview. You came along to me and said...
You weren't coerced into this interview.
Yes, I was.
Or don't tell me, the bullying
Piers.
MSM said, Andrew, you've got to do an interview.
No.
And I'm going to fly all the way to Romania to do it.
You didn't do that.
Favor.
You used the lover boy method. You said, sir...
The lover boy method?
Yep. Andrew, this is going to be a very interesting interview. We had a good one last time. You're a nice guy. We have some interesting conversations.
I didn't say you were a nice guy.
I'm going to come along.
Wait a minute.
We're going to make some money from this interview.
Wait a minute.
Money will be made for both sides.
Wait a minute.
You lover boyed me and you stole the profit.
Just to be clear, I've had no conversation with you about this interview. And the conversations I've had with your intermediary were very professional. And I said, I would like to do an interview.
Were you nice?
I'm always nice.
Well, no,
And that somehow their only thought process each day, women, should be, how do I please my man? Not, can I get a fulfilling job or any of those things? But no, you stay at home, self-improvement, make yourself look good, obey his instructions, all that kind of stuff.
But Andrew talking about the way that he wants his relationships to work
he's entitled.
he's
entitled to what it. No,
advocating and forcing
don't
for
get
the
me
whole
wrong,
world to see things his way.
Yeah, but that's the delusion, because
Well, no, because
you can say he only wants that for himself, right? And
tell you
by
what,
the way,
Piers.
he's allowed any relationship he wants. But when you pretend that when he says those things, they're not amplified to literally tens of millions of
Right, but here's why you're
impressionable
wrong.
young men,
But here's why you're wrong.
then you know that's not
No,
true.
well, here's why you're wrong, because you assume that Andrew Tate, for some reason, in this conversation, is the only influencer in the world and the only person people listen to. Because he's not at all.
Not at all.
The internet.
But I got to tell you, he's one of the most influential.
Yeah, no, he absolutely is, and that's great.
And that's the part of his influence that I think is a potentially malevolent.
Great, and it's wonderful and good, and you don't have to like it. But let me tell you, every force has an equal and opposite force somewhere else. So on X, Elon has now legalized free speech on that platform. So there are differing opinions on every single aspect of life, including how you want to date women, what kind of music you should listen to, what kind of cars are good, what kind of whatever it is. So for every Andrew Tate out there, there's some feminist